Morning, welcome back to realvacantland.com and Luke Smith. It's Monday morning, it's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. start this morning because I dropped the kids off. They're doing a ceramics camp today, so I get some time on the computer. so um, I wanted to start this show off with some learning curve stuff I've had this week. So life is always a learning curve, right? I mean, and a lot of this is the school of hard knocks. You learn this way and that way and stuff. But I also want to keep it positive. And so um, this last week I did some mailers. I was working on mailers, and I want to do a lot more mailers this week, as well as a lot more due diligence on properties. I've been spending a lot of time doing due diligence on properties that have come in from previous mailers that we've done on this call. People have won on this call. People have purchased on this call. There's a link down below for people that want to get some more. I might have to start this over. Doesn't look like it's streaming. Okay, guys. Luke Smith, second try. Luke Smith, realvacantland.com. I was just trying to live stream and it didn't seem to be running right. I get all these statistics on the screen of what's happening, what's not, and it didn't seem like it was working, but the chat says it was working. So, okay, let's try this again. I'm going to start over from the top. I wanted to say that over this last week, I've had a lot of learning curve things, and like life, like all the time through kids and growing up and working in business and relationships and with family and friends and all kinds of stuff. You learn and learn and learn. Hopefully it gets better throughout time, or maybe more refined to what you believe in, however it happens, right? But trials and tribulations of life. So as part of that, this last week, I was working on some mailers, and mailers, a lot of people ask about what mailers are, and that's what we do in this business to buy land, to be able to continuously put the cheapest land in the area, in this valley, in this neighborhood, in this region, in this whatever, this county, this state. I always love making those videos. Cheapest land in the state, right? So I've got a bunch of those videos in old YouTube history. Those properties are all sold by now, but I hope to keep making more of them. And so finding those properties, being able to get them and bring them to the market, is the cheapest land in the state, the cheapest land in the county, the cheapest land in that neighborhood, the cheapest 20 acres in that area, the cheapest 40 acres in that area. We think about a bigger marketplace than what everyone else is looking at. And so the idea of looking at Zillow or Redfin or Trulia or wherever, Lands of America, land.com, land and farm, land, whatever place that you're looking for real estate, Craigslist even, those are just the ones that are being marketed the most. And they might not even be marketed that well, but they're marketed the most, the ones that are for sale. It doesn't mean those are the only ones that are for sale. Those are just the ones that are the easiest to see and the easiest to find. We've got the internet now, and we've got all kinds of information, and we should be able to see a lot more of the marketplace of what we could potentially buy if we set our minds to it, with all the information that's out there. But the real estate industry is still very backwoods, old-fashioned, good old boys club stuff, right? And so my little website, realvacantland.com, gets a good deal of traffic from you guys, and thank you so much for looking at the properties and the deals that we put up on that website. So we get those deals by sending out mailers. That's what I was saying. And these mailers are a piece of paper, maybe two pieces of paper in an envelope that says, hey, I would like to buy your property, and here's how much I'm willing to pay in cash to buy your property. And we send it to people who own land, who own real estate, who own what we want to buy. And some of them say yes. And some of them get back and say, yes, thank you so much for making the offer. How fast can we close? How fast can I get the money? What do I have to do to get the paperwork, filled out, signed, everything? And I try to make it as easy as possible, depending on the transaction. There's different variables involved, but try to make it as easy as possible for the people to sell the land to me. And then I take that land, I put it up for sale on realvacantland.com and a bunch of other websites, maybe 500 other websites, depending on what the property is. And someone sees it, they're looking around the area and they see that property like, oh wow, that's half the price of everything else in the area. That's great. What's wrong with this one is the first question. And they go look at it. And that's where I get a lot of traffic and a lot of attention because they're the cheapest thing around. And some people go for it. They say, okay, it's not waterfront, it's on the other side of the street, or it doesn't have the mountaintop view, but it's on the side of the mountain. I get a lot of view, but it's a quarter of the price of the mountaintop view, or whatever the rationality of it is. Or maybe it's the mountaintop view, the best one around with a well and power and everything else. And I just got it cheap, so I sell it cheap. So people grab them and take off with them. But so a lot of my work is sending out those mailers to the people that I want to buy land from, the least mailers that I want to pay for because it costs money to send these mailers out, and the best pricing to get people to say yes, but not so much price that I can't turn around and resell the property and make some money in between. So there's a fine line that I'm always walking in between there. And so people that are looking to go send out mailers and buy land and try to figure this out are always asking where should I send mailers, what's the best place to go buy land for resale. And so this week I found a little bit of another information source that I think it's not new or anything, it's just a different way of using it, and I'd like to share that. So let's start there. And this website, Zillow, you guys know Zillow, but the way that I'm using it that I'd like to show you might be interesting to some of you. So a little lesson, you guys can make fun of me and stuff, but then we'll get into other land deals. So Zillow, if you guys could get if you guys could tell me a county you want to look at, that'd be great. Luke, you signed up to storm Area 51 yet? To storm it? It's probably government land, and you can't get county data. Like the county assessor, where I get the information from on these properties, isn't going to keep information on government land, or at least not very much of it, especially Area 51. So it's not going to be in the databases. So let's think of a county. If you guys could name a county. Okay, someone's got a county. So Calhoun County, Alabama. CALHOUN. So Calhoun County, Alabama. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go, so I got for sale, lots and land, size, it's set at 20 acres. Let's do any size, and I want the stuff that's sold. I'm going to change it over to the ones that are sold. So let me go through that again. I'm on Zillow. I got Calhoun County, Alabama pulled up. I got it narrowed down to all the properties that are sold, that are lots and land. And I'm going to sort because I'm usually sorting by price low to high. I'm usually looking, what's the cheapest thing in this area? I mean, it says $261. These are, I don't know if those make any sense or whatever, but I want to see the newest. And so you guys are probably like, yeah, Luke, why don't you look at the newest stuff that's sold? Obvious, but I mean, I haven't ever really looked at this because I'm always looking at the cheapest stuff in the area. And I don't know why this is kind of sliding off the screen. Let's see if I can change this around a little bit. Maybe that's on the screen better. Okay. So I've got the newest stuff that's sold. And this doesn't have anything from July. So maybe it's their databases are a little bit old. So it starts like June. So let's just count how many are sold in June. Because I think this is good information. If I did this across many counties, I could probably see some counties that are doing lots of volume and some counties that aren't doing anything. And then I can study the information in these sales, and I can see, like, are they trading these $200 properties? Are they trading $1,500 properties? $200,000 properties? What's normal vacant land transaction that's happening right now in this county? If I'm going to go make offers in this county, am I trying to buy that stuff that people are looking for and buying, or am I buying the eccentric stuff that nobody's looking for or wants? That's the point of this, right? So let's look at June. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties, 6 vacant properties sold in June. Now Zillow has the ones through the real estate world as well as the recorder's office kind of data. So I'm not sure how often they pull it off of every recorder's office. It might not be super often in some of these counties. It might be more often in others. But I'm sure there's problems with the data. But basically, this is a tool. It's not the solution. It's a tool that you can learn. So 6 properties sold in June. So what if we went and we looked at a couple other counties and said, 6 properties sold in this county. I want to make some business in this county. This market did 6 units in June. One of them's let's call it $15,000 one across the street from the lake. Here's a $190,000 one that looks like there's actually a house on there that's marked as vacant land. So that one maybe doesn't even count. This one looks like a house that doesn't even count as vacant land too. So 15,000, 7,000 for 0.6 acres, 7,000 for 0.6 acres. This might even be the same thing or right next to each other. $3 million. I don't know what's up with that transaction. That one doesn't fit the market. Maybe they got a 0 off or something. That's an anomaly. So it doesn't look like very good quality data in this county, and it doesn't look like much of anything's really trading. If we go back to May, maybe the data is not totally updated for June. Let's look at May. So May, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So maybe May is more real data. 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 22. 22 properties quoted, so-called vacant properties sold in May. So maybe that's where the real data is actually. It's taking a little bit of time for the real transactions to catch up. Some of these, this looks like maybe a double wide or a prefab. It's not totally vacant land. These look like vacant land properties. Here's one, 63,000 for half an acre, but a lot of this 11,000, 4,000. These are generally smaller dollar vacant land properties, and 7. So there's a couple, like maybe a tax auction or something, weird small dollar ones, eBay transactions. It's probably where you get the best deals. 12,900 for 0.8 acres, 50,000. So there's a couple here and there. I mean, you get some bigger dollar ones happening, but a lot of this county seems to be $5,000, $7,000 county. And so if I'm going to go in there and buy land, I'm going to try to sell it at these $5,000 prices. I'm going to try to cut them in half, try to sell them at $2,500 or something. I'm going to be offering like $1,000 to make any sense. To me, it's looking like $1,000 kinds of offers to go buy up these smaller properties and try to sell them for a couple $1,000s. And you probably get some if you rolled through that whole county, looking at the transaction history on that county. And so if we went and we did this on numerous counties, I think you can start comparing counties like, oh, this county looks like we could sell stuff for $250,000. This county looks like we could sell it for $100,000. This county looks like $30,000. I think you can size up the markets pretty well. County by county doing that. And now where they had these 50 and 70,000, this $50,000 one is maybe something special about this. Maybe it's in town or it's next to a hospital or something. Let's see if we can get the map to work. See what's special about this land. It's near the lake, but it's not on the lake. It's got a mobile home on it. That's why the price is there. It's coded as vacant land, but it's got a mobile home on it. So I think you're paying for the mobile home more than the land. So if you looked at each one of these anomalous prices, it's probably something like that going on. This seems like a cheaper county to do transactions in. So I think I was comparing different counties and comparing different markets and noticing those kinds of things. I mean, some of the counties I was looking at had like 2 transactions a month for the last year or something. I don't think that's a really healthy market to go try to market land in. I mean, I better really knock the price down if I'm going to try to get a bid in that market. instead of trying to cut the price in half, I better be cutting it like 25% of what people are asking, just because there's no volume. There's not a lot of action happening there. It's not like people are sitting around biting their nails waiting for the next property to come on the board. And when I put it up for sale, it's like gone. So there's a little bit of stuff that I learned this week that I'd like to share. Let's hit some, let's see if there's some questions in the comments. And then I wanted to talk about some of the properties that are new on the website. Couple good mornings. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Rain Dog. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, 532 Mystic, Jarrett and Cheryl, and Shonda. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I'm not very good at names. Perry Davis says, good morning. Bought 4.77 acres, 320 down, 150 a month, 3 years. Also have a lead on a mobile home on 5 acres. I will know more in 2 days. I could see you and hear you fine. Okay, good. So I guess the first stream was coming on. It's just I had weird stuff going on the screen. It didn't look like it was working for me. Number 04. Hey, watching all the way from Wales, UK. Thanks for coming on from the UK. Calhoun County, Alabama. Okay, so we're just looking that one up. Iowawa. It's Howdy Ranger Luke and his parcel posse pilgrims. There we go. Appalachian Mountains. You want to look up some properties, Appalachian Mountains. I've spent some time in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know them that well, I've done some road trips and hiking a little bit, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time touring around the Appalachian Mountains and the areas to really get to know it well enough to go storm in there. Andrew W. I drove by Area 51 just yesterday in the Tonopah test range. No men in black sighted. It's probably pretty hot out there this time of year. Iowawa 1. Hey, Lisa, Jarrett Curley. Exactly. Jarrett Curley. Okay. Harold Monroe. What about Southeast Tennessee? Southeast Tennessee. That would be, I don't think we have any of that on the board right now. Let me get this back on the screen. I'm going to pull up the map view on ruralvacantland.com. It'll take a minute or something to load. I'm going to pull that up on the other screen. When that's loaded, I think I'm going to try to come back and look up Southeast Tennessee. Okay, I've been trying to buy this county. Glad that you see it the same as me. Yeah, so Rain Dog, if you're going after that county, Calhoun County, Alabama, I'm already forgetting where it was. Alabama, right? Yeah, Calhoun County, Alabama. Yeah, it's just from all of 2 minutes looking at it. I mean, I'd be offering $1,000, across the board. Just blanket those people, $1,000. Maybe some cockamamie number, just over $1,000, $1,000 and 1,021 or something, some little number above $1,000, so it doesn't look like you're just doing a round number. Let's see. The map's still loading. How to Shell says morning. Dano says good morning. Bunch of good mornings. Hey Luke, last week you said something about deeds. Can't recall what you called it, but can you touch on different deeds? Can you touch on different deeds? You mean different kinds of deeds or different? Lisa, first name Sap, maybe you clarify a little bit about touching on deeds. I mean, I do lots of different deeds. There's California has their own deed. It's called a grant deed. Nevada has their own deed. It's called a bargain grant sale deed. It's a lot like California's deed. It's just got a different title. I'm trying to think what other states have weird ones. Those are the main unique deeds that I can think of. Most other states just use like a warranty deed or special warranty deed or a quick claim deed or depending on what kind of transfer it is. There's a lot of different kinds of deeds you can use across the country. Number 04 might be asking a lot, but could we have a feature on this site so we can search for properties with water, electricity, sewage, etc.? Yeah, that'd be cool, right? And I'd also like all the different zoning. I want to have 75 pigs on my property. Which property allows that? I can't get them all in there. But it would be nice to have water, electricity, sewage. The problem is we're buying these properties from afar, and it's not like we've been using them and living there and understanding them and really getting to know them that well to go say what they have and what they don't have. Um, I mean, some of the properties that have a water line in the street, and I say, yeah, the property's got water. It's got a water line in the street. And then the people get back to me and they're like, the city wants $7,500 to hook into that water line in the street. And you said it's got the water line at the street. And I'm like, yeah, it's got water. They say I said it's got water. I'm like, yeah, it's got water, but you still got to go tap into it, tee off of it. Some of them already have tees and hookups and valves and stuff, and it's a lot cheaper. And trying to get the details of that on every property is, it would be nice. It would be sweet. It would be awesome for all the utilities, have all the utilities figured out in every one of these properties. But I mean, really, I'm trying to do volume at DIY pricing. Like, you got to go figure it out yourself on a lot of these different fronts. If the zoning allows you to have, whatever animal it is you want to have on the property, or you want to build this way, or you want to build with these materials, and you want to have this and that and everything else going on in the land, it's you got to figure it out. I think a lot of the people are very hesitant to call the county and ask, and that's probably what we should do on these calls. We should just start calling the county like live and broadcasting some of these calls, like how I asked the county, because people are always asking me questions about, can you do this and can I do that? So I'm calling the counties all the time, asking them questions, right? Um, but we've got federal laws that allow this, that, and something else. And then we've got state laws that are different, and each state's different, right? And then below that, we've got county laws, and the counties set their own little laws here and there. And below that, we've got city or jurisdictional kinds of regional laws. And then, even in between, we've got EPA and environmental kinds of, water, flood, fire kinds of laws. I miss those layers of info. But below the city and the regional laws, we've got neighborhood rules and regulations, CCNRs, codes, covenants, and restrictions, right? And so when you start stacking that layer of bureaucracy on top of the land and asking the question, what can I do with this land, and what can I do with the land, and what's there and what's not there, I just start throwing my arms up and saying I give up, because it's very complicated. And even if you hire an attorney for each one of these properties, they're not even going to tell you the way it is. They're going to give you like an opinion, and they're the most qualified people to understand all these sets of laws. And so I should have a lot more disclaimers on my website for all the stuff that I do say about these properties, and saying it has this and it has that, and it looks like it's got this and it looks like it's got that. Because I get a lot of people that come back to me and they say, I figured out later it doesn't. This is wrong and that's wrong and everything else is wrong that you describe the property about. I'm trying my hardest to describe these properties as best I can, as much detail as I can. But at the same time, I want to leave some of the due diligence up to you guys, so you feel and understand more that this is do-it-yourself land and do-it-yourself prices and do-it-yourself style that you got to take your own responsibility for. I'm looking at things like satellite imagery of the property and saying, oh, there's a power line there. Or I got a bill from the water company when I bought the property. There must be a water line there at the property. And I try to tell people, it's $48 a year to keep the water on standby, or whatever it is on that particular property. I try to tell you that kind of stuff. But more than that, it's a deep dive of research to go find the information on each one of these properties. And then when I think I got the information and I misconstrue it somehow, I don't want to be liable for it. And so I'm always walking that fine line of figuring out as much information as possible and telling you enough to buy it and go figure out the rest on your own. And the more of these transactions I get into, the more information I put into these properties, the more the people come back to me and say, something's wrong. And the more I regret putting that much information out there. That's backwards from the point of what I'm trying to do, right? But it's just the way it is. You guys got to do a lot of due diligence on these things. Feel comfortable that you're making the right decision, that this property that you're buying is the one you want. And even if you think there's water there, you think the water table is 300 feet and it's actually 600 feet. Um, that's part of buying a property. You're taking on risk. You're taking on risk that something's wrong. You're taking on risk of all the laws that are out there, that the laws change, the rules change, the neighborhoods are change, the neighbors change, lots of things change, the roads change, a road washes out, can't get there anymore. Stuff like that happens, right? So there's always that side of it. Sorry if I'm going off on a tangent. Let's get back onto the questions. But thanks for the question, number 04. Thanks. It would be cool to have the little checks on there and stuff. MLS, a lot of the MLS websites have that, and I don't think much of anybody searches by them because they're not accurate. They're not. Like, those features are on those websites, and they just get so detailed, people stop filling them out accurately when they post the properties and they put them together. So you can't really search by those features anyway. I think my website would end up being the same. I'm just trying to keep it simple. Sandra Bernard, any land in Idaho? Okay, so I got the map pulled up on the website. Let's look for Idaho, and let's look for someone else was asking for Eastern Tennessee, I think it was. Okay, so we got this map. This map is the map search on ruralvacantland.com. I believe this link is also in the description below. It's a couple, 2-3 lines down in the description of this video. You can click on this link and go play with it yourself and look at wherever you want to go. I wish we had a lot more of this map covered, and I think we will over time. We're working on it, right, guys? So we got Idaho on here. It looks like there's one property in Idaho right now. I don't remember this one. Look at that. Oh yeah, I remember this. We've talked about this on the show before. Backcountry Idaho with a cabin. It's got a little cabin. Chris Gibson's got this one on the website. He's asking $149,000. It's 120 acres. And if we take a look at this, he's got an arrow to Snake River in the background. I think he's got like drone footage of the thing. So here's a shot of the properties, blacking out everyone else's property, and then this is the actual property. It's got trees, it's got some topography. There's a cabin down at the base. So it's a cabin, and then you hike up the mountain and look all over the place. Probably got some rock chucks and maybe some deer, elk, or all kinds of stuff in a piece of property like this. Go up to the top of the hill and have a bonfire. Ride your horses up there. There's a bridge going into the property. Looks like a really nice property. I mean, just a rustic cabin. It's got a stream, I believe. It's got it boarded up to keep the bears out, or raccoons, or whoever. Fire pit out front. There's an outhouse in the back. Pretty sure that's an outhouse. To hike out there when you got to go. Yeah, there's the outhouse. Rustic cabin style, Idaho. It's a little stream going through. This doesn't look like you're going to catch fish in its stream, but it looks like it'll make good noise running by. So that's the one we have in Idaho right now. It looks like a true winner, but it's $149,000. If you go look at other stuff in the area, I bet you it's probably more. And Chris might do owner financing. Let's see. He's not advertising owner financing, but you could ask him. That looks like a fun one. He's got a video about it. I should probably make a video about that one too. That looks like a beautiful property. So that's the only one we've got in Idaho right now. It's in Idaho County, Idaho, 120 acres. He's saying under contract, so he's probably got a contract with the owner to sell it. See, reading that, he probably won't do owner financing, I guess, or maybe some smaller part of it's owner financing. Okay, so southeastern Tennessee. So the reason we don't have much of anything in Idaho is that Idaho laws make it easy to duck out of giving up your mailing address information to people like me who want to mail you letters about your land. So if we go to eastern Tennessee, so I've pulled a lot of data in Idaho, and maybe 20% of it actually has mailing addresses. I've mailed lots. I mailed the whole northern half of Idaho in one mailer, and I must have missed the mark. Like, I didn't offer enough money. They just yelled at me. I didn't really get anything. I got a couple properties that I didn't have the nerve to pull the trigger on. They were just too weird. We don't have anything in Eastern Tennessee or Kentucky going on right now, or the North Carolinas, the Carolinas, South Carolinas, in the hills. We've had numerous ones in the past. They're all sold out. We've had more than they're on the website right now too. Okay, so what else are people asking about? Any land in Alabama that I could go off grid? I don't think we got much in Alabama right now. Jason Lydiard was on the website. He was doing properties in southern Alabama, and I think they're all sold off. We had more than this on here in the past. We're all sold out right now. We should circle back and try to get some more. Yeah, different kinds of deeds. Okay, so I think I covered different kinds of deeds. Andrew W. How are the Wyoming and Puget Sound mailings coming? Good, average, so-so? Yeah, so here's one of the properties in the background. Just got pictures on this weekend. One of the guys from Land Academy, really nice guy. Met him at the live event last year. I think he'll be at the live event this year in October. There's Land Academy's got a conference about land dealers and stuff. They've invited me to go speak at that one. So he went. This property we got was like 5 miles from his house. So he went over there, took a picture. This picture is actually just there's a little, like a 200-foot kind of easement next to the property that goes down to this river. And so one of the main questions of the property that we got the letter accepted on is that is it in the floodplain? So all the maps in the area of this one are pretty generic, not very detailed of where the floods happen in this area. And let me pull up what I'm dealing with in Puget Sound area. So let's see. Let's see if I can get a good diagram for you guys. Here's a good diagram. See if I can get this big enough. So, well, I don't know if this is going to be big enough. Let's see if I can use this. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to be super clear, but I think this will paint the picture. So a lot of the properties that we send mailers out in the deserts and mountains and stuff, it doesn't matter so much where the water goes, because there either isn't any water, or you're on a hill somewhere and the water goes down the bottom where the farmland is, right? So in the Puget Sound area, there's a lot of rain and it's very green and there's a lot of tree coverage, so it's hard to see the ground through satellite imagery. It's hard to see it with Google or Microsoft or whoever's street view imagery, and there's a lot of it in the areas that we're getting land, but it's hard to see into it. And so this is what we're running into. The properties are oftentimes near a stream or wetlands or a low-lying area of some sort, because a lot of it's a low-lying area where the water flows through, or it's on the edge of a cliffside. I mean, the cliff ones are easier to pick out and kick down the road, but the water ones, it would be nice to be near a stream, and that's usually a good bonus. But when it comes to building, it becomes hard. So in this diagram in the background, it's okay, right over my head here, this way, it says FEMA, right? So FEMA has come up with these different definitions. FEMA is government organization. I don't know what it stands for. If somebody knows what FEMA stands for, you can put it in the comments. That'd be awesome. Or put it in the chat. But they've got a website with all kinds of maps, and they've got insurance floodway maps. So insurance companies use their maps to write insurance on properties, trying to figure out if the property is going to be flooded, or what's the likelihood that property floods. Now, if it's like in this picture up here, it says this lower line says base flood elevation. Maybe I could do this. So this part of it here, base flood, this line that's up here, it's above the normal channel of the stream, right? So the normal channel of the stream stays down there when the water's flowing, it's all cool and everything's fine. But you got a big rain event like a hurricane or storm or whatever, water might flow through this whole thing. And then what? What if your house is over here on and you put a bunch of dirt in or a foundation or something? And that's great. I'm trying to stay out of the flood. My house is up here. I'm out of the flood. But when you do this kind of thing, that same amount of water is still trying to get through there. And, it might flood out someone else. The more fill that happens, the higher this line goes. This line goes up and up and up. And so in California, and I don't know if it's across the whole country, but if you start filling in floodways to build houses and you start moving this line, it starts affecting the neighbors who might have built when that line was theoretically less, right? And so it can affect their insurance, it can affect their foundation, it can affect like their horse arenas getting washed away, or their driveway, or their garage, or their house getting washed away. If you put enough of this fill in, you start messing with the floodways. Even though the river's normally down here and you're putting fill in over here, you can affect the house that might be built like over here somewhere on the other side of the stream that you don't even see or know about. It's hiding in the woods, and they can come sue you. And so because of those kinds of litigation problems, the counties, the cities and stuff, and they've been starting to get more regulations, and it's trying to prevent people from building in this like flood zone here. And so that means I don't really want to buy this property that's all in the flood zone here that makes it harder to build, right? So I buy it, and then who's going to be able to build there? And I'm going to get stuck with the thing. How am I going to sell it? So if I buy the properties that got land up here where you can actually build a house without putting fill, or depending on what the regulations are in the area, if you can do fill or not, if you can build your foundation up a couple feet more to get above it, whatever, that's okay. But if you have to do fill and the regulations get nasty and you start messing with the FEMA lines, you get a mess. So see this orange up here says flood fringe. So this flood fringe area, I can't figure out how to do it. The weatherman trials and tribulations. So the flood fringe area is where this property that I was just showing you a picture of is like 75% of it's in the flood fringe. And then this yellow stuff up here, I think does it say behind my head? Floodplain. So the whole property is in the floodplain, which is 1% flood scenario. 1% of the time, your chances are 1% a year that the flood's going to be that big that it gets that place flooded. Now, if I stop buying that land, there's like no land left. I mean, so this yellow stuff up here land is most everything around the Puget Sound. And so that at least most everything around the Puget Sound that answers my call to sell the land. And you ask the counties, and they're like, well, it should be fine if you build the foundation up above the level of the flood. It's hard to figure out what the level of the flood is. And then it's like, okay, but can I still get a septic system in there to get rid of the poo? The questions go on and on. And so I'm doing a lot of due diligence trying to figure out if I should be buying these properties and in different aspects of this whole diagram that's going on behind me, right? So that's what's happened to the Puget Sound one. And there's some good looking properties in there. Like this one behind me, I should pull up some more pictures of it. And I'm starting to buy some of them, but it's a slower going than I thought. It's a learning curve. It's always a learning curve, and I want to get a better understanding of that learning curve. The other thing that happened in the Puget Sound mailer is that I like more acreage. Maybe it's the machismo of me, Maybe I should have a bigger mustache. But I like bigger acreage. It's usually easier to sell a bigger property. It's easier to figure out where you can put the house. It's easier to figure out which way the driveway is going to lay out, and there's room for a garage or a barn or some animals. There's room for more dreams to happen, right? And there's more room to fit a septic system in there. You don't have to drive on or park on or build the house on or whatever. Like, you want to have extra room off the side to put your septic system in when you're building in these vacant properties if they're not hooked up to the sewer system. So there's that aspect too. I like the bigger properties. And so when I cut a lot of the data in that county, or in those counties around in Puget Sound, I was finding like a 1/4 acre and up properties. There's 93,000 vacant properties around Puget Sound. And to me, at first, that's like, oh, wow, there's a good set of data. We can do a lot of statistics. You can cherry pick this stuff. And so I was figuring part of cherry picking it is taking the stuff that is, I did basically 1 acre, not exactly 1 acre, but kind of 1 acre and up properties, and made offers on those. And I didn't do the smaller ones, like 1/4 acre to 1 acre kinds of properties. But when I was going through to price the data and I was looking at the properties that were in the data and doing spot checking, I was always on the other side of the street away from the water. And the ones that were on the water didn't come in because of one of two things. One, because the size of the property, I was scaling off the top sizes of properties. And two, I was scaling off the top taxes of the properties. I didn't want the ones with the crazy high taxes because I figure, for one, I don't like to pay the taxes. And for two, they're probably properties that are so desirable that I'm going to have a hard time offering enough money to pay for them, and having the nerve to actually pull the trigger on those dollar sizes of properties. So in retrospect, I did it backwards. I should have gone for smaller properties with higher taxes, and I would have got the waterfront properties, which I think would be the most desirable ones that are happening and ought to get built before the ones across the street and back in the woods. Like, the waterfront ones should happen first, in my opinion. So that's where I should be buying the properties. And so I'm glad I didn't just mail everything at once, because I think, and part of, I want to do that today. Like, I've been trying to do that in the past, but I want to do more of it today, is I want to go back to those same areas and I want to hit the ones with higher taxes and smaller size properties and a couple other attributes of the same kind of search from things that I've been learning. But I think I'll get more waterfront deals. I'll have to offer more money, but I think if I offer more money, I'll be able to cherry pick too. We'll get more acceptances, and we don't have to actually close all the ones that are accepted. We can be more selective of the ones that are accepted, and I think we'll get higher quality properties and bigger dollar spreads on the deals. So if you're paying for mailers, that's what you're looking for. You want the biggest dollar spread on the deal. So I'll end up financing it one way or another, and buying it, selling it, instead of $2,000 spread, maybe $50,000 spread or $150,000 spread or a couple $100,000 spread in between the buy and the sell that we get to share. And I think that's much more worthy of spending time and energy on and debating over. And the more I learn, the more I'd like to go after those kinds of deals. So that's where I'm at on that one. The Wyoming one, if we go back and we look at the numbers of transactions in the market that I was showing earlier on in this video, if I would have done that out of the gate, I wouldn't have done the Wyoming. I wouldn't do the Wyoming. I just wouldn't. There's not enough volume in those markets. Maybe I'm skewed off because I have a passion for Wyoming and the beauty of Wyoming. And a lot of what's come back and accepted in Wyoming is the ugly parts of Wyoming. They're flat, boring, nothing there parts of Wyoming. They accepted the prettier hills, the color hills and trees and streams and action that's happening on the properties can be awesome in Wyoming. And that stuff we got a little bit of in the mailer, and I'm trying to close on the little bit that we did get. And I'm trying to skip the flat, boring stuff, trying to get the couple beautiful ones that came in, trying to close them. They all have a little funky paperwork because of this and that, but I think I'll close them, as many of them as I can, and get them up for sale. I can't wait to show them off and make some videos about them and things. And so that's where we're at in the Wyoming. The people who won mailers or paid for mailers, I did a really small spread of Wyoming across a lot of people, so nobody got much of any Wyoming mailers. So I don't think it's going to matter that much if not many Wyoming deals came through. And I think it's going to be a lot more of the Washington ones. So that's the idea there. And then what I'd like to do preliminarily wise, I'd like to go through a lot of the rest of the Puget Sound that I haven't hit yet, and I want to hit it much more accurately with pricing, smaller properties, bigger taxes, hopefully targeting the waterfront ones by doing that. And after that pass, I would like to go, I've never done any mailers in Florida, and I've got a lot of demand for Florida properties. I'd like to just go up and down the coast of Florida, try to get a bunch of deals there. And same with Texas. We get a lot of requests for Texas properties. I'd like to go along the coast of Texas, Gulf Coast of Texas. And the website seems to be quite lacking along Texas properties along there. I think we could get a bunch of them. So coastal, my passion for the ocean and water wrapped in. And just coast, just work all those coastlines and fill in the website. I think we'll have a bunch of those for the winter time. I think it'd be great to have them on the website for the winter. But right now I want to keep working the Washington ones, and I want to do a lot more of that today and tomorrow and this week. So that's where we're at. Let's go back to the comments and keep going. Thanks guys for chiming in, listening. Great questions. Andrew, great question. Wawa, 1,077 exactly. So they're talking about the Alabama County, saying it's $1,000, make $1,000 offer to pretty much all the vacant land in the county. Wawa saying offer $1,077.77 exactly. So 7 numbers. It's part of marketing. 7 markets a lot better. So Lisa, first name Sap. I'll have to look back on your site to clarify. I think she was asking about different kinds of deeds. Yeah, so if you're looking at a specific property and it says specific kinds of deed, I mean, for the most part, we're just following the most common deeds in whatever state it is that we're doing that trade. I should say the most common deeds in commercial real estate for your state. Because lots of states, the most common deed is a quitclaim deed or a warranty deed when we're using special warranty deeds. And special warranty deeds are the most common in commercial real estate. In residential real estate, from mom and pop to mom and pop kinds of transactions, or family to family transactions, the most common is a quitclaim deed. From like neighbor to neighbor or that kind of thing, it's a warranty deed. But in commercial, when you're actually doing real estate transactions as a business and things, and you've read about them and studied and kind of know what you're doing just a little bit more, usually start using special warranty deeds. So like if you go look at the local hospital, and the last time that sold in your area, that's probably the biggest taxpayer commercial property around. It's a special warranty deed, right? If you look at the shopping center, the strip mall down the road, the gas station, the grocery store, the local gravel pit, people don't usually realize how much money a gravel pit can make. Gravel pit, it's always a millionaire that owns the local gravel pit. Those properties, special warranty deeds. I bet you go search 10 of them, maybe 9 out of 10 are special warranty deeds. Maybe one of them's a warranty deed. People are always asking for warranty deeds, but go look at the biggest dollar transactions in your area. They're all special warranty deeds. If it's not California with a grant deed, or Nevada with a bargain grant sale deed. Rain Dog, in rural Florida, if you buy vacant land with a lot of frontage, beware. When they decide to pave the road in front of your property, expect a big bill from the state, X amount per foot of road. Yeah, there you go. The state sends you a bill on that? That sounds like a nasty one. They don't just bump up the assessed value of the property and dole it out that way. They do so much per foot of the road. Wow. Lisa, first name Sap. Where's the picture you're sitting in front of? Looks like my kind of land. Yeah, this one is it's in King County, Washington, and it's not actually bought yet. It's the property's in due diligence, and I think I'm going to buy it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'm going to buy this one. And just trying to do a little more due diligence on the floodplain kinds of information that I was telling you about a little bit before. Dave, greetings from Seattle. Luke, on the way back home from Alaska vacation cruise. Nice. Lots of rural vacant land there. Yeah, Alaska's got a lot of rural vacant land. A lot of it's government land, and the stuff that isn't government land is expensive. You'd be surprised if you go look at how much it costs to buy vacant land in Alaska. It's always a head scratcher. I've looked in numerous different places. I've spent more time in Alaska than a lot of these other states. And I've got a passion for Alaska. I love a lot to do with Alaska, and it's just expensive. I mean, their land is expensive. People that move to Alaska love land, and they pay up for it. Jill DeWitt, good morning, Luke. Good morning, Jill. Thanks for coming on the line. Rain Dog. So, guys, Jill DeWitt is Land Academy. We were just talking about Land Academy before. So, Land Academy is where I learned a lot about making these mailers and sending out offers on vacant land. I was just talking about their live show that they had this last fall, where I met one of the guys that just took this picture in the background. Literally this weekend, he volunteered to go over and take a picture. I met him at that conference. So their next conference is coming up in October, and I believe they still have some seats available for sale at the conference. I'm not sure of the prices and things, but if you go to Land Academy's website, I'm sure you can learn more about the conference. Jill DeWitt puts them on. She's there in the comments. Rain Dog saying, hippies in rural Alabama, it's easy to go off grid, lots of wooded land, and when people see you off the grid, they just assume that you are poor and don't pry into your business. Yeah, I bet you Alabama's really easy to get away with building whatever you want. Harold's going to go look at the map. Good morning from California. Chandra says, thank you, Luke, for Idaho. Love it. Yeah, I wish that was my property. That was a really beautiful property. I mean, that thing should be on like Airbnb. And so this time of year, I mean, it should just go have fun with it. Like, you should take 2 horses and a horse trailer and just go up there and camp out for a month and go ride horses all over those hills. My wife would love it for probably 2 days, and then she'd get mad at me for the bugs and something, but it's just beautiful land. Land Wrangler, there frequently is something unexpected that comes up when buying land and selling land. Oh, for sure. Land Wrangler, tell me about it. Stuff comes up all the time when it comes to buying and selling land. People are always saying, no, you can't do this and you can't do that. And oh, geez, wow, who would ever try that? Lots of times it's the neighbor who has no idea what they're talking about, or some person at a local store that is like working minimum wage behind the counter has an opinion on you buying your land and moving to the area and telling you off and shooing you out. I hear a lot of it coming back from people that have bought land from me, and they say somebody at Home Depot told them they can't go build whatever it is they want to build there because their grandpa said so, or just misinformation from 100 different sources, and misinformation from the county. I mean, I'm dealing with that on multiple fronts. Like, I read the law and I quote the law to them, and they're saying totally opposite things, and I'm asking for where they get the information and where they're coming from, and they just have nothing to base it off of. It's just opinions, right? So you got to question a lot of this stuff in land, and do your own due diligence, do your own research, and set your opinions on facts and that kind of thing. Another piece of information that I'd like to share that I think has been really fun to work with is this other website. My subscription's lapsed right now, but yeah, it says your trial has expired, whatever. But you can sign up to this per month. Whenever you have a question, you can pay per month. And this is called Case Text, casetext.com. And you can go on here and you can search that county, that state, wherever it is that your land is, and you can research stuff like easements. What are the cases that are setting the precedence on easements? This thing pulls up the cases that everyone's quoting and doing other cases based off of, and it shows you the Black's Law, like these law library books. They have them digitized on here, and they point out this is known to be because of, this is assumed because of, and they basically tell you the law without telling you the law. They say, we believe the law is this, and they give you a whole bunch of things that they're basing it off of. And you can take that and you can quote those cases, and you can go back to those people that are telling you, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And you could say, well, hey, wait a minute. I was looking on the internet, case number, this case, so-and-so versus so-and-so, he had the same scenario of what I'm trying to do, and this is what happened. This is what happened in court. And so you can, go shove it. So there's just another tool for you to do it. Chandra, Minnesota, Oregon, Arkansas. Yeah, we got um, properties flying in lots of those areas. I want to get onto the website. I think we've got some Oregon coming up. I just did a bunch of mailers in Oregon the last couple days. I think we're going to have a bunch more Oregon ones coming up a month or two from now. Arkansas, I've got some more Arkansas that just came up on the website in the last week or two. I want to show you that. Let me try to catch up with the comments and I'll jump into the inventory. So Rain Dog, Eastern Central Alabama's cheapest land, foothills, Appalachian Mountains. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of properties to choose from on there. Jill's going back for Parcelfact can now give you all the neighbor details. Yeah, it can. Parcelfact's gotten a lot better. You can go in there and you can click on the neighbors, what Jill's saying. You can get their contact information. You can write them a letter and say, hey, can I do this? Can I access the property through your property? Can I get an easement? Can I? All kinds of stuff like that. Or do you want to buy the property or do you want to sell yours to me? So someone put the definition of FEMA in there. I was showing the description before of the floodways, floodplain, flood, blah, 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 of FEMA maps. Federal Emergency Management Agency. That's what FEMA stands for. Couple guys saying it. Okay. Thanks everybody who put that in there. Federal Emergency Management Agency. So they've got all kinds of maps. You can look up stuff on your properties. It's a good place to look up the property before you buy it and see if there's anything weird that comes up on there, whether it might be hurricane or fire, water, whatever you should be worried about that's in that area. Gone prospecting. Anytime I drive along a river road here in Idaho, I always see houses and trailers with a water line halfway up the roof, the front door. Yeah, there you go. They didn't plan the flood correctly, right? They should be putting that thing higher up on stilts or whatever. Yeah. How high is the water, Mama? J Cash. Okay, so Angela, that's a learning experience that makes it worth it. Ever looked into Costa Rica? Yeah, I love Costa Rica. You know, to go visit and travel, and it's so cheap to go find places to stay. I don't know why I'd want to be buying and building there. Like the actual ownership of it's, I don't think you really own in Costa Rica. I mean, fill in, prove me otherwise, guys. I don't know exactly 100% what I'm talking about, but from my experience, the Costa Rica land, you're usually locking it up through some kind of bank entity thing to own it as an international. But one of the cool things about Costa Rica is I think it's 6 months or 9 months or whatever living there. You can get a passport, and they've got really cheap incorporations. Like, check this out. Let me see. It's like $300 for registered agent and everything. Let's see. Offshore. I'm just going to click on one of these. They're not advertising up in your face the price, but I know you can set them up in Costa Rica for like $300 a year, maybe $350 a year. You can get your own corporation set up, local. Not saying you want to go open bank accounts there and keep your money there too, but you can use a corporation from Costa Rica. Why don't they just tell us the price? You have to go through a bunch of these websites. But really, I mean, the taxes are a joke to nothing. You know, you pay like a school tax. It's like $25 a year, and you keep it going. It's part of the $350. So here they got a shelf corporation for $900, a new corporation for $700. This is probably an expensive one, but if you shop around, I've been involved in some in the $300 range. That's a neat thing about Costa Rica. If you want to own assets internationally, let's say you bought an asset or you bought some land in some third world country or some other place, right? I mean, it could be the U.S. too. But it's third world country. I'm pointing out third world countries because it might take you 6 to 9 months to do the transaction to be able to close and own that thing there. But then you want to resell it, or you want to trade it, or you want to finance it, or you want to securitize it, you know, like friends and family owning bits and pieces of it. It's a lot easier to go cut it up in Costa Rica or British Virgin Islands or some third third destination country. So if you set up an incorporation in one of those easy to work countries like British Virgin Islands, it used to be Panama. Everyone would do it in Panama, but Costa Rica is way cheaper and easier. You can do it in Costa Rica, and then use your Costa Rica company to go own that, hydroelectric project or the mining project or your real estate development project or whatever it might be in the third world country. And then you can keep the ownership in that third world country in the Costa Rican name. You don't want to change it. You don't want to move it around in the third world country. It's too much bureaucracy, but you can change it. You can transact it. You can trade it in the third, the other jurisdiction, like a Costa Rica, and do your paperwork there. So those are really good to use in those kinds of corporate structures. Just side note on Costa Rica. Texas Hill Country is popular for land too. Yeah, there's so much Texas. Texas has like 250 something counties. I mean, crazy amount of land in Texas. I've never done a mailer in Texas. I think Curtis might be on the call here or on the live, and he's done a bunch of Texas deals. As we get into the website, we'll see a bunch of Texas ones on there that he's working on. Iowawa's working on a Texas one with Willie. Good, Willie's doing some Texas ones too. I'd like to see some in Eastern Washington. I have city phobia. Nice. So working on Eastern Washington. So like we were talking about earlier on in the show, if you go look at the volume in some of these counties of transactions, I'm working the Puget Sound area because of the volume. You can see 100 properties that traded in the last month and what they traded for and what kinds of stuff people are buying in one of these counties. And if you go to Eastern Washington, you look at it, it's like 3 properties traded in the last month. And it's a lot less information to go off of. It's a lot less people that are coming and buying and that you can sell land to. There's a lot less properties that are privately owned. A lot more of it's big forestry companies and their government and that kind of stuff. If you look at the numbers or records of how many properties you can actually make offers on, it's a lot harder to get your statistics to work in those smaller populations. So the more of these mailers I do, the more I want to shy away from super, super rural, and the more I want to get towards populous areas, or on the sides of them at least, to do more transactions and bigger dollars and make more money. I'm not saying that cuts out all the smaller dollar ones. We've got a bunch of other people on the website that have the smaller dollar ones, a learning curve, setting up, getting going on land dealing, and bringing in behind me a lot of those other properties. And I think other people will sign up to the website over time too and put more of those smaller dollar properties up there as well. But I want to, maybe I'm getting greedier. I got more bills to pay. I gotta make more money on the deals. Charlene Ivy says, North Florida, when they paved the main road coming in, it cost us $250 a year on taxes for 10 years. That's easier than dropping like 10 grand in a year or something. I thought the guy might have been talking about. And G Dipple said, I'm allergic to the city. Yeah, glad to see. Okay. I think you guys are talking back and forth amongst each other. The Idaho Vandals. Okay. Hong Kong Corp has nil taxes. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits into incorporating in Hong Kong too. I think one of them that I've looked into in the past that I never actually followed through with, but I thought I would last time I was there, was getting like WePay set up and Alipay, so I could take payments from China mainland people to sell land to, and I thought that would be quite beneficial. It would be very hard to move massive amounts of money over time out of those accounts back to the Western world. They might have changed the rules and regulations by now, but if I set those accounts up, I might be able to find ways of transferring different kinds of assets, not cash. Like I could buy goods in China and ship goods over that I could resell instead of cash. Whatever the goods might be, something, just Amazon, do a deal with somebody that's buying junk from China to sell on Amazon or something. Do some kind of 3-way trade to get the money back. But that's one of the sweet benefits about Hong Kong corporations. But I think you're paying 2, 3, maybe $5 grand a year to keep a lot of those going. They cost more than the ones I was just talking about. Doug Casey's sites has a lot of offshore stuff. Yeah, Doug Casey's a land developer too. I mean, I've talked to Doug Casey numerous times, met with him numerous times, and he's a great guy. He's so inspirational. He gets you thinking on more than just one front, but on multiple fronts. So these one-liners that he puts out and these ideas and philosophies that he comes up with. I'm not saying I believe with them all, but he gets you thinking and gets you questioning the norm. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so one of the more recent developments that he's done is in northern Argentina. And he created a community with Dave, I forget the guy's name. One of his subscribers he was working with, he did a couple different land developments with him. And Doug Casey likes to play polo, right? And he likes to have horses. He likes horse country, he likes to eat beef and drink wine. And northern Argentina, there's lots of beef, there's lots of good red wine, and there's lots of horse country. And so he mixed all three of them together with the altitude of a climate that worked for him. And he started selling properties. And he started selling the properties to lots of people that were subscribers of his or like the same kind of idea, and they like the cheap lifestyle and they like the apocalypse kind of get away from everything, location of it, away from Europe, away from North America, away from big cities, away from all kinds of stuff, but still an intellectual place you can go to the coffee shop and the restaurant and talk to, a third country individual that's traveled and not just hillbilly land or whatever you want to call it. And so he set that up and he started selling lots of properties. I don't know if they're still selling like hotcakes, but when he started, they were selling pretty well. And I know he's made a lot of money off of real estate. He'll go into places that the economy is down and out, but he believes in the real estate, like Czech Republic in the past, or why can't I think of the name of the country just east of Italy across the Adriatic Sea? Beautiful coastal land that was very beat up economic wise. He bought some coastal properties and then sold them later on. When the currency got crashed out in New Zealand, he bought a beautiful place in New Zealand that was like from one mountain to the next and the whole private beach in between and the whole watershed going up to the back of the mountain, right next to Auckland. And Auckland would make cash offers on that property because they want to turn it into a park. Year after year after year, he kept saying no, no, no. And eventually he sold it. And, the numbers on it were stupendous. It went up crazy amounts. And I know he's bought land in like Myanmar and Thailand and other countries like that along the way too. And then as the markets open up, he sells them. He's made a lot of money off of that kind of play, as well as mining stocks and things along the way. Angela do places closed, done, pharmacy closed. I needed my Sudafed, could barely breathe out of my nose, but so enjoyed this weather. Thanks for asking. I understand. I think I missed something in the comments. Lisa, first name Sap. Luke, send mailers to Bisbee, Arizona. Cheap land, high altitude. I think she means Bisbee, maybe Bisbee. I've sent a bunch of to Bisbee, and I've never actually bought any in Bisbee. Get them outside of there. I think the prices stack up more in Bisbee than I've made offers for. Fred says Macedonia. No, north of Macedonia. Croatia. Croatia is the country I was thinking of. I don't think he's bought land in Macedonia. Maybe, but not that I know of. Smart Alex says, when you send your mailer offers, do you ask for a generic price per acre for the area, or do you send a custom offer for each property? That's a sweet question. And so Jill DeWitt, I think she's on here, and in her education program, the early first versions of it, it was price per acre. And so they teach price per acre. And I think price per acre works for lots of areas, especially like desert squares, where a lot of the land looks the same and it's very homogeneous looking. It would probably work for farmland, where a lot of the farmland looks the same, but it'd be hard to get it at big discounts because the farmers tend to know their stuff more. But I started wanting and desiring land that had a little more character to it, like some mountains and some streams. And to get that land, I know I had to modify the pricing model. So I started modifying the pricing model from price per acre. I started doing things like $10,000 and some weird change number across this whole vast area, this whole mountain range, and see what comes back. And I would get a bunch of stuff back, and a lot of it I did not want. Like, I really, really did not want it. I said, sorry, too much hill, too much, can't get there, crazy land. And I got some good ones that came back, and I sold them for a bunch more. Sell them for $60,000 or something. You buy them for 10. So that worked pretty well, but it was a very broad brush stroke approach. And from there, my pricing model migrated into, instead of price per property, and who cares what size property it is, to price per property per that area, and looking at that specific area, and that little area of that county has more price or less price, and price it per property per that area, and maybe adjust it some depending on the size of the property. So I've done that kind of iteration. I think that's like third generation pricing in my history. I think I've moved on to fourth generation pricing, where I do pricing per area, per kind of size of the property, somewhat involved in their area, more involved in the size of the property, and a ranking. I like to rank them based on where they're at in the stack of assessed values. I don't care what the dollar amount of the assessed value is, or the taxes on the property. Some combination of the taxes and the assessed value basically point to the same thing depending on what state you're in. But the assessor is ranking those properties by saying this property has a $50 a year tax bill and that property has a $15,000 a year tax bill. They're saying this one's worth many, many times more than that one for whatever reason. And if you go and you look at their rankings and you sort them by what the county's ranking them at, or your county assessor's ranking them at, some counties makes no friggin' sense. The assessor's lazy and they're not doing their job, in my opinion. The counties where it starts making sense, you can start using that data and using it to make more accurate offers. If you start looking at the vacant land that's got the $15,000 a year tax bill, it's right next to the biggest hospital in the county. It's next to the biggest shopping center, or it's the parking lot of the biggest shopping center in the county, or it's a fancy golf course maybe, but it's a gravel pit, or something that's still coded as vacant land, but it has a lot of value to it, and so the county is taxing the bejesus out of it. And that's pointing out probably the most highly sought after commercial vacant properties in the county, in my opinion. And as you slide down the tax column from there, you get into I'm just going for example, $5,000 taxes. You might see properties that start looking like they ought to be developed, like they're next to a neighborhood and they should be split up like that neighborhood. And you slide down to like the $2,000 tax, and you start seeing waterfront, and you start seeing it's on the river, and it's got, this is maybe where you could put a ship next to the wharf, and you could like build a shipping terminal or something, or some kind of import-export property. And these are still vacant, right? $2,000 a year vacant land taxes is a lot. You go down to, I don't know, 1,000. This scale can change in different parts of the country. You go down to $1,000, you start seeing fancy home lots, $100, $500, out in the middle of nowhere home lots, and that kind of scale. So you can look at the lineup for that county, and you can see what the scale is in that county, and you can adjust your numbers accordingly and make that a factor of the overall pricing model. And so I think as you do that on the location, the tax versus tax assessment kind of thing, depending on where you are in the country, and the size, and also the tool that I showed you earlier in this show today of looking at what's been trading in that county. Like, is this the desirable stuff that's been happening in the county, or is this like nobody ever trades this kind of stuff in this county? Discount accordingly to make it happen. So that's part of it. Guys, we've been going over an hour, and I didn't get to inventory. I wanted to show you the new properties on the website. So let's go to properties. Throw some more questions in there. I'll try to answer questions as we go, but I've been answering questions for like an hour, and I wanted to get to properties. So we've got properties on here, and then I wanted to give away some more mailers. I'm gonna give away another 500 mailers at the end of the show for anyone who's still listening. Let me just do some settings on the screen here. Okay, so I'm on ruralvacantland.com, and we got the most recent ones up on the screen here, and we'll see what's come up that's still for sale in this last week. El Paso, Texas. We were talking about Texas properties. Curtis keeps putting these properties up. El Paso, he keeps selling them too. He's got a bunch of them. $12,000 he's asking for half an acre. Half an acre, and lots of these properties he comes up with have power lines. This kind of looks like a shadow of a power line going right across the road here. But that might have been the street view of turning off down to this property. Probably a street view up here. So there's probably a power line running. Yeah, you can see the poles. So there's a power line running across the street up here, and maybe to this property down here. It doesn't look like there's one down the street to this one. There might be, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just right out on the side of town. He keeps coming up with these on the side of town, you know, close to El Paso, all kinds of supplies just out on the side of town. $12,000. It's Texas. You could probably put a mobile home on there, or a house, or you could do whatever you want. You could probably keep your semi trucks there if you're a trucker, or they really let you get away with whatever. There's 0.17 acres in Wood County, Texas. $6,000. Looks like a good mobile home lot. Looks like a power line in the front and a road in the front. So there's another one, Wood County, Texas. Here's one, $550 for Sharp County, Arkansas, 0.14 acres. This says unrestricted lot in Hardy, Arkansas. People ask me like daily for these kinds of properties, and we've got one here on the website. Robin Kupperman's put this one up on the website. He's saying unrestricted, so I don't know exactly what that means. Like, you can go do whatever you want in this land. Got the map set up here. Doesn't look like it's exactly on the street. You might have to build a driveway in here, but there's a dirt road that runs around the area that gets you pretty darn close. Let's see if he says. Just outside the city limits of Cherokee Village. So a lot of people probably shop Cherokee Village but don't want to pay their fees and their restrictions, but here's one you can. It says build a small home, off-grid home, or put up RV, go camping, do some bush crafting. This is unrestricted land. Okay, so unrestricted. He's also doing financing, $60 down, $60 a month for 12 months, or cash price of $550. Wonder if he's got his payments set up yet. Yeah, okay, so he's got payments set up on the website. He's new from last week. He started posting properties on the website. I've known him for 2 years or something. We've been doing some different kinds of land deals together. He's finally started putting them on the website, so I think that's cool. Looks like he's got another one maybe next to that last one. I bet you it's outside the regulations here too. Probably got to bushwhack your way into it, but then you can do whatever you want. Another $550. Sharp County, $550. So if you want to put your RV on the property, mobile home, probably got to bring a chainsaw, maybe a stump grinder to get in there. You can rent stump grinder. Those things, they make a lot of noise. Get some earplugs, but they'll grind right through there and let you build a road. $550 or $60 down, $60 a month for 12 months. Some more Sharp County. He's got a bunch of Sharp County, so I bet you those take off as people figure out you can put RVs on them. Sharp County, Sharp County. Here's some more Sharp County. He's doing a bunch of Sharp County, so I should be making videos of showing people that you can go build whatever you want in Sharp County, at least on some of the properties. I don't know about all of them, but outside the city limits of Cherokee, I think that's what he's targeting. $650 for another Sharp County. Property near Lake Galilee, Sharp County, Arkansas. Some more Sharp. So we got a couple pages. There's 20 properties in Sharp, basically, that have been posted on the website. Here's 40 acres in Humboldt County, Nevada. $9,000. Well, what's going on there? $9,000 for 40 acres in Humboldt County, Nevada. This is Robert, so he's new to the website and he's posting a bunch of his properties up on here. So it looks like he's got a video about it, maybe a couple different. Looks like he's got video walking through the property. Looks like good dirt biking country. I bet you can do whatever you want on that property. Probably play with dynamite. No one will care. Fireworks, go for it. Okay, so what's taking so long here? Let's kill some of these other websites. My website's the one with the problem. Okay, so Sharp County, Sharp County. Oh, we're back on page 1. So we went back in time here. Let's go forward a little bit. Let's get to page 3. Here there's Arkansas, or more Sharp County. So we got the Nevada in there, some more Sharp County. Here's New Mexico, Luna County. I think did we look at these last week? I think we started looking at them. I don't know why my website's crashing. I'm gonna have to check on that. So Luna County, New Mexico. El Paso County, Texas. We have lots of El Paso County guys. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look up for myself and to see on here how many of these El Paso County, Texas properties are sold on the website. So if we go, let's do location. Let's find Texas. My website's going slow. Let me get back on there. I've got these sorted by state and county because that's how I get the data on these properties. There's Texas, El Paso County, Texas. And I'm going to do the ones that are sold. So let's just see which ones are sold in El Paso County, Texas. I've got 4 pages. There's 10 per page, so it's 30 something. 31, 2, 3, 4, 5. 35 of these El Paso County, Texas properties are sold. And now I'd like to do what we were talking about earlier on in this call. If we go to Zillow. And I think they're all Curtis. I mean, Curtis has been selling the heck out of them. El Paso County, Texas. If we look at the volume of vacant land that's going through that market and see how much of it is Curtis, I think we're going to be surprised. Maybe not, but so recently sold, any price, vacant land, and I'm going to do the newest. Okay, it's already set up. So just July, we got half of July on here. 2 of them in July. So let's look at June. Maybe the data's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them in June. I mean, Curtis is like ruling the market in vacant land in El Paso County. I mean, that market is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 or 6. 5 or 6 properties a month going through there. This is coming from like the real estate people, and you know, this looks like a Curtis property, right? $12,000 with that kind of map. This is probably this just totally looks like Curtis's land. See if we can see who's posting this one. But you know, how many properties Curtis has sold in that county compared to what's actually trading in that county? I mean, it's mind-boggling. And we do that not just El Paso County, but a lot of these counties. If you look at how many properties we trade on real vacant land compared to what's happening in the greater markets, we do the volume, property after property after property. Not just Curtis. Curtis does a really good job, but a lot of the different ones on here, like Cochise County or some of these counties that we're into. So I'm gonna check out the comments here for a little bit, and then I'm gonna give away some mailers, and I'm gonna go work on some mailers because I really got to catch up with you guys and get some more mailers out here, get some more deals flying. Let's see. Guys going back and forth in the comments. Bisbee, Angela, okay, Louisiana just had a tropical storm and predicted flooding. We didn't get not where I'm at, thankfully. Okay, good job. Now it makes more sense what you guys are talking about. I'm probably out of it. I'm not watching a whole lot of news. I'm focusing on land prices and deals and things like that than the greater news. Elaine says, anything in North Idaho or Western Montana? Not right now. I mean, I tried so hard in Northern Idaho. Northern Idaho is not a good place to buy land off of mailers. It's just not. And I've mailed a lot of Montana, and I haven't got very many deals there either. For whatever reason, I think it's my California address. Um, they're just it's a different culture. I think you should be talking to the local real estate agent. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but I think you should be talking to the local real estate agent to find deals up in those next to the woods. They're small town, good old boy club areas that I haven't been able to break into. Maybe I haven't figured out the right approach yet. Maybe with my fourth version of pricing I was telling you about, fourth edition of pricing, I could do that better, but we'll see. I toured the old silver mines on a rail in Bisbee. Nice. Yeah, that's Bisbee. Too many people browsing the site. Need to add more RAM to the server. I've done that a couple times. I think it might be a wrong server or something, like somewhere else getting jammed up in between. Angela, dude, Dynamite. I bet your wife would care. Horses, animals go crazy. Yeah, exactly. I can't go play with Dynamite and have the horses and animals running, or my dog. My dog would go crazy. How many views per week is Curtis getting? I don't have it published on the front end of the website, but I could pull it off the back end and I could look at it. I was looking at one of the properties that just sold. I was marking it. It had been up for sale for a year. One of the properties that we had on the website for a while, in Calaveras County. It's on a stream and it's probably just overpriced. But it was just shy of a year that it was on the website. It had 9,555 views. I mean, it's not like unique users or something. It might have been the same person back and forth. But lots of times, like these Arkansas properties will get 500 to 1,000 views before they're sold. A lot of the Cochise County ones will get like 1,000 to 2,000 views before they're sold. Same with a lot of the Elko County ones, 1,000 to 2,000 views before they're sold. Those kinds of numbers. The bigger dollar ones, like $10,000 plus ones, it's usually 4, 5, 10, maybe 15,000 views before they're sold. And if you go look at the kinds of views these kinds of properties get on Zillow, it's the only other place that I know of on any of the real estate websites out there that say how many views that the ad has. It's I studied that a lot too, like how many views per time, so you can see if the market's hot or cold in these different areas where people are shopping in and not, just based off Zillow information, because they put out more information than everybody else. Not necessarily the most accurate, but they put out more. And oftentimes the properties in rural vacant land get 2, 3, 5 times, maybe even 10 times the views that similar properties on Zillow get in the same area. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool, but it doesn't always mean they sell. I mean, if we look at the website, if we look at the oldest stuff on the website that hasn't sold, we're at 30 pages of properties right now. I think it's this 30 acre in San Bernardino that I have. Yeah, 30 acres of San Bernardino. I'm asking $5,999 as the oldest one on the website right now. And it's the oldest one on the website because I've sold it probably 2 times, and the people sold it on terms, and the people didn't pay the terms, and so I put it back on the website and just using the old ad, and that's why it's back on there. Same thing with this 40 acres in Elko, Nevada. I've sold that one a couple times on terms, and people don't keep making the payments. They say they're going to make these payments. They don't make the payments. Like payment plans that they asked me for, and then they just disappear on me. I can't find them. They just totally disappear. So I get the properties back, and that's what some of these oldest ones on the website are. Maybe a year old or something, year and a half. I don't know. So, okay. Amarillo. We should go hit up Amarillo. Comments are asking for Amarillo, Texas. I don't have anything in the Amarillo area, but that'd be fun. I always like the steakhouse there. you're driving through, um, it's not 7, it's 90, some crazy size, 96 ounces or something, steak free if eaten within 1 hour. I don't know, remember the size. It's crazy size steak. Comes out in like 2 different servings. Amarillo, Texas. Okay, so I want to give away some mailers. I'm going to put a disclaimer in the front. I'm working on getting more mailers out. I've been working on it a bunch. I'm going to get more of them out. I'm going to get them all out right soon here, and we're going to have more deals. I got the database is working really well to give people updates on the mailers that are out, and I think that's going to make it a lot easier to keep track of them going forward. I got it set up so I can feed it in from the beginning instead of doing it retroactively like I've been doing in the past. And then it'll give you updates along the way. I got the link open down below if you want to buy some mailers, if you want to pay for some mailers. It's $1,500 or 1,500 mailers, and I'll do the pricing, I'll do the work, I'll do the phones, I'll do the whole shebang, and finance the properties, everything. And if it all goes through and go full circle on it, then it's I'll share half of what I get at the end with you after the costs and after the cost of financing, after the cost of, if we have due diligence stuff, paying taxes, paying all kinds of things that come up along the way. I'll split half the profits with you at the end. That probably takes a couple months to go full circle. Maybe some of them go faster. Some of them might take years by the time they actually go through. So those are for sale, but I'm giving 500 of those away. And I think as they start going full circle, I want to start telling people about the ones that have gone full circle and show some bigger, some big size checks that I get to send out. Mike Bateman saying 72 ounces if you can eat it. Yeah, that's the steak. So if you're driving from east or west through to Interstate 40, I can't remember what freeway goes through Amarillo, but they've got signs for miles and miles and miles in every direction to go to this steakhouse. And if you can eat this steak, the 72 ounce steak, within an hour, it's free. And they serve you like mashed potatoes and stuff on the sides too. They really try to sway you off. It's crazy hard to eat steak. Okay, so I'm going to give these things away. I got to come up with a question that says you've been listening from earlier on in the show. And we had... just thinking, yeah, the publicity's done on the free steak. No, it's awesome. So gotta think of a question. So I'm gonna use the name of somebody that's in the chat, and this person came on. I don't think she comes on the show very often, but she does the live events. And the 7th person to say the name of the person who came to the chat just a little bit today. The lady's name, I don't know if she's still on or what, but the 7th person, if you put that name in there, I'll give you 500 mailers. I'll do all the work on it to make it happen. Hopefully I get to give you a big check later on someday for sharing a piece of that with me. So I see it going by. So it looks like Andrew's the first one out of the gate. So I'm going to try to count these. So 7. So Andrew says Jill DeWitt. Smart Alex says Jill DeWitt. Dave Dacia says Jill DeWitt. Land Wrangler says Jill DeWitt. That's 4. Fred says Jill. That's close enough. Jarrett says Jill. That's 6. And then Jason Macy, 7. Jason's won a couple times. Okay. So Jason, I've got your information. I'll put you down. You don't have to send it in. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for playing. Thanks for listening. Jarrett Curley says 6. Pretty close. But on my screen, I counted 7. I was going down the list. Everyone probably sees some other order or says this one's not right or that one's not right. I'm just going to go with Jason Macy. That's what I got off the first count. And so thank you. Thanks, everybody, for listening, for watching. This is like an hour and a half into the show. And I want to go work on some mailers. And I got to work on paperwork for some other deals I'm working on. And just go make them happen, right? So try to get some more of these properties like this one here in the background on the website. Nice stream. I think this is, I forget the name of this stream. The pictures made it look really clear. Nice place to launch a kayak and go for it. Thank you, guys. I'm going to hang up. talk to you guys again in the next one. I think next week's going to be 10 a.m. again because of kids stuff, summer kids programs. Thanks. Talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.